Good evening aboard the spaceship. Give me a name, quick.
Indelible 6.
Thanos.
The spaceship Thanos. That's nice. My name is Walt, and this is the Galaxy's Edge podcast, the Unlocked edition, I guess you could say. And tonight we have a copious and sometimes rotating roundtable where we will be talking in and around all the best parts of Galaxy's Edge, the book series by Jason Onspach and Nick Cole. Joining me, we have frequent collaborator Ingram Matt, aka Nether Ops Matt. How are you, sir?
Mate, I'm fantastic. How you doing?
I'm old and bald, so it's not looking good. We have Swordfish, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to speak English as opposed to this bloke over here.
Get out, mate.
We have the author of The Reservist, J.R. Hanley.
Al freaking standing. Although he's infected me, now I call my gear Kit for some reason.
I thought you call it green because you can't see it.
Well, yeah.
I wasn't going to go there. I made it 2 podcasts where we didn't mention that.
However did you get into the military if you're colorblind?
You can be colorblind in the military. You just can't do certain MOSs. For some reason, they won't trust me as an electrician or a nuke. I don't know why.
Oh, really? Yeah, because they hit me with that in the infantry, too. They said, if you're colorblind, no way. Luckily, I could see all the numbers.
They like colorblind people in the infantry. We do better on point because we see textures they don't.
Yeah,
I could see when I was in... This is going to age me. When I was in high school, I did the ROTC thing, and we did a field operation, and part of it was on a Marine base. They're like, there's a guy out there in a ghillie suit. You can't see him, but at the end, we'll have him stand up, and you can ooh and ah. In theory, it was to teach us about confidence or something, but really it was just about them recruiting, right? That's what ROTC is. Let's not lie. Well, I went there and I sat down next to him. I'm like, what do you mean? I can see him. He's right there. And I offered him my lunch. And if his gunny had been there, he probably would have beat the crap out of me because he was not happy that I saw him. Sorry, Sirius spying on us. I mentioned the gunny and Sirius like all over it.
Gotcha. And then next to JR, we have Uplifted Bubba, which we're allowing for some reason on this show these days.
Hey, savage ways, man.
Riding shotgun in the bottom. Sure.
I am great. #1 essential personnel and Black Fleet recruiter.
Excellent. Yeah, we don't mind Black Fleet. Black Fleet's okay. Writing down in the we're gonna shift out. But second, Wiki, how are you, sir?
I don't know.
Somebody up.
I seem to be doing okay. All things considered. I mean, you turned into a robot just now.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, your internet's really rough right now.
I'm organic.
That's crazy. Hopefully, it'll do something good soon. Is it still robotic?
No, you're good now.
You're like 1 frame a second, mate. It looks
I thought it was just me.
This is it. This is where Badger does the robot on stream. Fantastic.
It's spreading.
It's spreading. And then we're going to remove out Rookie. And, we almost caught Ronan on camera. Say hi, Ronan.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Rock and roll, cops and robbers, Dunkin' Donuts. So until I can figure out what's going on with my interwebs, boys, what's going on in Discord this week?
No.
Okay. I'll start it off then. We have for all things survival and our favorite virus going around called the Rona. It's called Legion Survival Program, the channel. Come on in. It's sort of structured around a steer school. Yours truly. That's good stuff. It's a good channel though. There's a lot of good survival tips in there too. It's good fun. I wouldn't say what's going on is fun. That's probably not the right word to use here. You know what I mean though. The channel is very informative and actually a good read. So definitely check it out. And then over to you.
And we started it because we wanted advice from each other because we've got all kinds of subject matter experts that didn't involve Chicken Little screaming the sky was falling because I got sick of that.
Is the sky falling?
No, we're good.
It's raining outside my house.
I'm holding it up.
I don't think that counts.
Yeah. Hanley's holding it up with his with his keg of gut. Just gotta keep getting him beer, and he'll be good. But yeah,
as long as you keep me in beer, the sky won't fall.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, of course, we got the people posted in the mess hall. We get to see what Bougie eats while he's deployed in Saudi Arabia, and yeah, that's kind of cringeworthy. And there's some neat stuff that we see every once in a while. Afterlife's always popping.
Can we just point out that I'm kind of jealous? I did not eat so well when I was deployed.
Really?
No, that's like gourmet stuff right there. I was eating MREs and cold cans of soup, and that I cooked in the engine block of my Humvee.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Rona prepared, dog.
Yeah, we're all laughing at Ronan sporting the what model is that? That's not the.
It's the Avon M50, I think.
Right. Is that's not the new military one, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is. Oh, okay.
I literally got this out of my kit from NTC, and I was like, oh, hey, I got to clean this.
Before you
clean everything,
throw it on.
Is that what they give you for your mop gear now?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
I didn't know they upgraded.
That's
Look, they even got the
glowing thing in the
headset.
So does it have the green thing that flaps over your neck?
Yeah, does it have the mop hood?
If I go through, I could probably dig out my my mop suit. Hold on, give me a minute.
Hey,
that's so high tech,
Give me a
Walt.
minute.
Right, JR. So before we continue on with our deposition and defrocking of the preparedness channel, Sean Veronica Noble from Facebook wants to know what's the status of Reservist Part 2?
I am writing it as we speak.
Like right now, you're writing?
Well, I stopped.
That'd
when
be
you
kind of rude.
trained me. Yeah, no, I stopped when you said, "Hey, where the hell are you?" What the heck? I'm sorry. But without the kids going to school and all the appointments that keep me what day it is, as everything's canceled, I didn't even realize it was dinner time. So.
Gotcha. So, what else has been good? Like, what's the coolest thing that's been bandied around the preparedness? The Ready Leej section of Discord.
Just I think some of the expertise. So, like we mentioned, I saw some people fishing in the pond behind my house. I know they don't eat it; they throw it back. I've heard it's because the water's polluted, and I was just curious. Like, what would you do? How would you know? And we've got people like, oh, this is who you contact, and you can get this tested and that tested, and you'll know exactly. And like, I would have never thought any of that, like how to do that. So I think the wealth of knowledge among us collectively is what's the coolest part.
Yeah,
that's groovy. So did anybody like come up with methods to use on feces to cultivate potatoes like in The Martian?
Actually, I am going to start a potato garden this year out of buckets. So that is coming this month.
Give me 3 weeks.
So are you going to be going in the bucket, or are you just going to plant soil and then eventually liberally sprinkle?
My wife would probably give me funny looks, and so would my neighbors. So we'll start with just potting. But we've got to have plans.
And now Ronan put the hood on.
Ronan, you are prepared.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
now, when you passed out from heat stroke, just remember we reminded you to hydrate.
Matt, put it on real quick. Go.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Is the standard still 4 seconds?
I think it's 6.
Oh, they're getting lax.
Or my memory's going, which is also possible.
He really is a pinhead now.
Ingram Matt going full doom on us.
Why does everybody have masks now? Hold up. I got this.
Oh, this is going to get weird. What do we have? Yeah, just go with the Guy Fawkes mask. Oh God, everybody's throwing their clothes off, and it's a thing.
It happens every time I'm here. Every time.
Oh my goodness. Yep, I can't. I just can't take it. So, as far as like what's been going on with Galaxy's Edge this. Of course, he's got his glasses on. We saw the release of last week of the 100 on digital, and excuse me, not the 100. Savage 1 on digital and audio. Gods and Leeches dropped just after that. So what did you guys think? Did you guys read or listen to Gods and Legionnaires?
I read it.
What'd you think?
Like I said, all three are great books. I thought that was the weaker one of the three, but like it's still a fantastic read. But yeah, I don't know. I found that the first one and the 100 actually hit me a lot more. It was still great though, like getting that split perspective on everything though, but from between the savages and everything.
So I got to know, uplifted Bubba. Did you got Legionnaires yet?
I'm sorry, you went all robot on me.
My internet must suck, mate. Lord.
What's funny is Matt has the best one.
Yeah.
He has the best internet right now.
That's right, Australian internet.
I got it on audio. If you're asking about Gods and Legionnaires, I got it on audio. And the company I work for, we just recently switched to 410s for the current situation of everything, and having to be at work at 5 and then listening to the first half of the book with Stephen Lang reading it, it's like a sleeping pill, and I was having to fight through it just for that reason.
Craziness.
It was
Craziness.
just so,
What'd you think of the first one?
It was just like, the first Savage Wars?
Yeah.
Good God, it was so savage, man. It was just like, it was like non-stop, just, one punch right after the other, and then it just ends with like, hey, guess where we're leading to?
Right on.
And then this one was just like a good filler to be like, hey, we have this situation. Let's have a look at this side, and let's have a look at this side, and it's just so opening to how part of the universe that we haven't seen yet.
Right on. What about the rest of you guys? What did you guys think?
What the hell? Can you drink through that?
What are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Easy head. And he's
that's bullshit. Anyways, all right. Sorry, got sidetracked. I'm a horrible person. Because I'm not driving. I actually haven't been keeping up on audiobooks, so I have Savage Wars 2, but I do plan to start listening to that probably in the next couple hours after I finish my other book. But on Savage Wars 2, there's people that are review bombing Savage Wars 2. So please, if you finish the book, give your honest opinion of it and write your review on it.
And upvote the other helpful reviews you like.
Exactly.
Give it 5 stars and everything, because it's the best book in the entire series, hands down.
I think the thing that's go ahead, JR.
Speaking of the series, they've got book 3. They dropped an ebook, but it's only on their website. That was their workaround to be able to provide for people stuck in the Corona quarantine. So if you just absolutely can't wait, and for all you audio listeners, if you go to the Galaxy's Edge website, you can get the ebook version to wet your whistle while you wait.
Right on.
Here, JR. JR, you want
he's
something?
He's handing you a
He's
piece of
teasing me with
pizza.
the pizza. My wife won't let me eat it. She's mean that way.
Why wait a minute. Wait.
Because pizza doesn't agree with me, and she doesn't want to deal with the smells. But it tastes so good.
Oh my God, Rookie, have you read Gods and Legionnaires yet?
No, I haven't yet. I'm still recovering from the first book. Like I said, it's just wow. It was a ride, and like I said last time, it wasn't like it was an ending I wasn't expecting, but it was still one that was just as awesome. And then but yeah, no, after finishing Fields of Fire by Marco Cluse, I'm like,
oh yes,
I'm emotionally spent. And so I'm just taking a break from audiobooks for just a little bit, especially since I went back to work and everything. So that's this week's been a trip.
Right on.
Between Marco Cluse and this one and B.V. Larson, they're just ripping my soul out and tearing it to shreds.
The great thing about this is that they're trying to drop as much as they can because of the situation that we're all in. And I think it's cool that Audible is trying to work within the confines of the contracts that they have as much as they can. So, I mean, that's that's really cool that we at least get something to tide us over until season 2 hits. And we heard from Jason that he is in the midst of doing that along with Nick. So have you guys gone back and reread any of the series to kind of get perspective on what's going on in some of the books that are coming out now?
Get Sphinx in the chat right now because I know he started over with season 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have arrived.
Go ahead, Sphinx.
Yes, I right before, the month before Gods and Legionnaires was supposed to drop, I restarted season 1 for like the 5th time, but I blew through the whole thing, and right now I'm in the middle of Order of the Centurion again. Just refinished Iron Wolves, about to finish Stryker's War, and I love Savage Wars 2 so much more. Like, I wasn't a super huge fan of the first book, weirdly enough, which was a controversial opinion, I guess. But the second book, it's like 1984 and The Stand put together, and it's the only book in the entire series that made me not care about the Legionnaires at all. You could have cut that whole part out. It was amazing.
Yeah, so if you haven't read Gods and Legionnaires, which is book 2 in the prequel trilogy of the Savage Wars that tells kind of like the history and story of the Legion in Galaxy's Edge. You get half the book from the perspective of the Savages, and then half the book from the perspective of the Leeges. I take it, Sphinx, that your favorite part was the Savages?
I hate the Savages as a people, but the way they were described was so interesting, and the depths it went into, the mind processes. I won't spoil anything, but what it went into, because we already know like a tidbit of what they went through before anything happened, and just it goes deep, and then it keeps going deeper, and you're like, dude. Yes, it was great.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, how long until you're one of the uplifted?
Oh, never.
Oh, from what I hear, though, Ranger training is really easy, right, Badger?
I've heard. I've definitely heard. Uplifted Bubba, you were trying to get trying to tread mark all over JR. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
No, like I agree with Sphinx. Like the whole God section, he was comparing it to 1984 and The Stand, and I was sitting there listening to it. I was like, this is so like Ready Player One meets oh god, I had another one, but I had a combination. I was just like, this is so intense. And
if you've ever read Nick Cole's Sodapop Soldier, it reminds me of that very heavily.
I can absolutely. See that.
Yeah.
Like there's always those villains in everything that they're like, you hate them. Like, you watch Alien and you're like, you hate Xenos. But then you play a game that has Xenos in it, and you're like, I love Xenos. And now with this, throughout the entire series, they're like, you hate Savages. Now you listen to this when you're like, wow, being a Savage is like, ooh.
Right.
And it's just like you had like this, like for me, I was listening to it and I was like, there's like this emotional attachment here for some reason. What is going on? And it was just so in depth and just so revealing.
Rookie, did you have an opinion on this?
On rereads? I think.
For Sodapop Soldier.
Oh no! Like he just started talking about the Sodapop Soldier aspects of it, and I haven't even gotten through Gods and Legionnaires yet or anything like that. But whenever somebody brings up Ready Player One, I immediately bring up Sodapop Soldier, just because it's one of those books I re-listen to at least like once a year, just because. Now it's
really?
Yeah, actually, because Guy Williams isn't really like my favorite narrator, but like since he's narrating a a like good story, I'm like, yeah, I could listen to this over and over. Like this is good. There was one chapter that I'll talk about later that I didn't like just because of the number of times he said chain, and the way he said chain just made me like just sit there and go like, I'm trying to stay awake, but okay.
The pet peeves of Audible.
Yeah, just small peeves, but it's just the thing I liked about that was not only just the pop culture references of Sodapop Soldier, and but like it was like pop culture fan service. I've talked about this on an Afterlife before, but like like the play analogy that everyone that Nick Cole and Jason Onspach use, where they talk about or they say like, yeah, it's like going over to your cousin's place and saying like, hey, let's bring your action figures over. We'll mess them up. It's kind of like that, only especially with the sequel to that was Pop Cult Warlord. It was basically like dumping out your toy box full of just all of your McFarlane and Nika, and you've got like Spawn action figures and Star Wars stuff and G.I. Joes and all that. It's like, and Ninja Turtle stuff. Like I kid you not, all of these little action figures from everything, and you're just like, yo, let's make like a gritty war story with all of these guys. It's like, how are these guys going to fit in there? It doesn't matter. Let's figure it out.
Oh boy.
Yeah, pressing buttons. I mean, there was a lot in sort of Pop Soldier and Pop and Cult Warlord. It really brought that sense of chaos and what was going on to the story.
Yeah, there's like my favorite scene was like the end, and again, not to spoil anything, but like that ending is actually what inspired. Like I remember I made a piece, a render called "Going for Broke," and it features like you got some modern looking troops in the scene. You've got like those historic figures that show up at like halfway through the ending battle. That I won't say, and then there's that future force fighting, or future force infantry that I also won't spoil because it's all just fan service. And like people looked at the image and they were like, I'm really confused as to what's going on in this. And I was like, read this book, it will make sense. I promise you, it doesn't make sense when you look at it, but if you read the book, it'll make sense. I threw some ODSTs there and there in the background too, just because I'm an asshole like that. But
I'm sorry about the pizza ASMR.
ODSTs are freaking awesome.
So we got a comment in the chat that from Heinz. God, I'm gonna mess this up. Goodbarian.
Goodbarian.
He said, "Gods is kind of a slog. It's a flood of crazy cray." But I like that style. Legionnaires kicks it into high gear. And I think he's probably talking about the second part of the book where they talk about the training. For those of you who've read it, what did you think of the Legionnaire training?
One quick question: how many flavors were there of you, bud?
What? Say what?
How many flavors of there are you, Goodbarian? We need to know.
I can't. That's just strange.
Good God.
So, what did you guys think of the Legion training that was in Gods and Legionnaires?
My immediate first thought was, I got to ask Walt everything about this training because I want to know how accurate it is.
Well, the thing about Special Forces training in particular, you would think that when you go through a selection process like RASP, which is the in the old days they used to call it RIP. Which was the Ranger Indoctrination Program. And these days they call it RASP, which is the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. Then you have something in the Army, SFAS, which is the Special Forces Assessment and Selection. The thing about these courses that is really, really cool is that they don't focus on what you might think a Special Forces unit might focus on. So the course really isn't about kicking down doors, throwing flashbangs, learning to fast rope. Some of those elements are in the course, to see how you would react to it if you've never had that kind of training before. But the majority of it is mostly two aspects: physical training and land navigation. And the reason
something LTs can't do. Sorry.
What's that?
Something LTs can't do is bloody land nav.
The thing about the physical training is obviously a lot of times some of these specialized units, especially guys like the Legionnaires, might have to go without support for days. So you have to be able to have the physical stamina to carry the required gear that you're going to need. And even by today's standards, if you look at what the typical infantry soldier is going to be carrying, you're talking about 45 to 50 pounds of armor. That hasn't even included anything else yet, right? So on the light side, you might get away with 35, depending on the armor type and how heavily padded it is, whether or not it's got Kevlar or not. But beyond that, you got about 20 pounds of ammunition. You got about usually 100 centiliters of water, so about 4 to 6 pounds. You got your pistol ammunition if you're carrying a sidearm, which if you're in the infantry, probably not. But if you're in a specialized unit, you might be required to carry a sidearm. Then your clothing. Now, you haven't even talked about what's in your rucksack yet. So already you're on 65, 70 pounds of stuff that you got to carry and hump through whatever terrain you got to go through. And you haven't even talked about a backpack yet. So you need that physical component. But the thing that is cool about these special operations units when they go through their selection, the reason they use land navigation is because it's a problem-solving event. Because you have to know the proper way to do it. You have to know how to use the tools. So you can't just sit there and go, yes, I'm going to get out my GPS and just plug this in, because they're not going to give you a GPS. They're going to give you a map, a compass, which is kind of like excuse me, I'm thinking ahead of myself. So you got a protractor, which is kind of like this little way to navigate around the map and get you distances. And then you have your compass. So you have to be able to use that. You have to know how to input like different features of the map, and you have to know how to read terrain. But the thing is, once you're out there and moving around, Sean Veronica Noble says bubblehead training is way worse. Even ranger training. Just joking. I don't know what bubblehead training is. Oh,
submarines.
Yeah, submarines. Yeah, I gotcha. But yeah, so I mean, in the story, you know, they go through a lot of that. They go through a lot of training that shows land navigation, obstacle courses, physical conditioning, over and over and over again, and just the ruthless mentality of Tyrus Rex as he's putting these people through the selection, and it has the desired effect, because you know you pass like 2 land nav training evolutions. And you're like, oh, cool, I'm never going to have to do this again until I get out into my unit. And then the next day they say, you know, here you go. Here's another map. Go for it. Day after day after day. You don't know when it's going to stop. So the book was pretty right on with that. Go ahead, JR.
When I went through the NCO Academy, one of the things, they drop about a third of every class. And everybody that drops, it's land nav or PT. That is the one, because it's just it's a evergreen skill that, I mean, because tech fails, and when it fails, it's generally when you need it the most.
Yep, you ain't lying.
So,
well, wait, I heard that the technology never fails and that it's always reliable. And I mean, just ask Ronan about how well his Stryker works.
now, I have it. No, don't you blaspheme me. I have it on good authority. I talked to the people when they were starting this program back in 2005. They swear they were unbreakable.
Yeah.
All right. So that's just hogwash. He's spreading heresy. I think Walt needs to handle that with some wall-to-wall counseling.
Ronan, when your Stryker failed, it was just because somebody put a rock in your valve stem, right? That's all.
Yeah. Someone just happened to put a lot of big rocks right in front of my tires.
I was with the 6th Stryker Brigade when they were converting from light infantry to Strykers, and so they had some of the, I think it was General Dynamics that built some.
Yeah.
They had some of their engineers come down, and they swore they were unbreakable. We were going to fall in love with these things. They were the best thing since sliced bread, and they would never break. They were joke-proof. That was what they said. They were joke-proof.
Do you know what an ASV is?
No, I've heard of it
Armored
before.
security vehicle.
Yeah, that's right, Ronan. Yeah.
That's the one with the 50 cal and the 40
Mark 19 side by side. Yep.
Oh, I'm drooling already.
So
My two favorite toys.
So it's if you know what a Marine LAV or a Stryker is, make it about 2 or 3 feet shorter in length. Only instead of the 6 wheels, put 4, and they're big, extra big, huge tires. And it's a big armored security vehicle that kind of looks like a tank on giant truck tires. The main weapon system is on top. You have a what do you call it? A 50 caliber, an M2, mounted side by side with a Mark 19, which is a fully automatic grenade launcher, 40 millimeter grenade launcher. Right, funniest weapon in the Army inventory. If you've ever fired one of these, I mean, like being on a ship and like being next to like a Vulcan or a Sea Whiz or anything like that, and hearing it burp, you know, that's funny. But like when you pull the butterflies on a Mark 19 and you hear ching 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 ching, and then silence,
and then
right?
thump 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 thump
yeah,
thump.
Just that waiting for some
silence.
reason, yeah, it just makes it funny, you know.
And then the boom down the road.
Yeah.
When they
Oh my God.
how'd you meet the business end?
So while we were in Iraq the last time I was there, they had this unit move in, and I won't say where they are because where they were from, because we don't want to embarrass anyone, one place or another. And we were trying to tell them, hey, listen, these things are kind of top heavy. You don't want to blah blah blah. Don't worry, we know what we're doing.
Oh God.
You cannot roll this vehicle. And I'm like, well, no, that's not true. Any vehicle can be rolled with the wrong kind of grade. I said, but you want to be careful, because going out of JR, have you ever been to Al Qaim?
No.
So anyway, North Al Anbar.
I've been to Al Anbar.
Yeah. All right. So in some of these places, they have like ruts for whatever reason to separate parts of the road. And we're like, look, when you turn out the gate, just make sure you're not going to go into one of those ruts, because if you no, don't worry, it can handle it.
Oh God.
Okie dokie. So we're packing up our stuff because we're leaving, and these guys are moving in, and we get the call. They're sending a tank wrecker out to the front gate because they just rolled an ASV. We were like, oh my God. Yeah, one kid broke his arm. A bunch of equipment wasn't locked down, so it slapped the TP in the back of the head. He had to get like stitches and shit. And we're like, why? Why?
Does it have the V bottom like the LMTVs do?
Yeah.
For the anti-IED mine resistant stuff?
Yes. Yeah. So it was, and they're real high center of gravity. Really, Cat? Anybody want a grenade that I can? Just so anytime the lowest bidder says, "Don't worry, this will never break," I usually get a little bit worried.
Or just that sentence in general.
So military grade always makes me cringe.
Although we were under the Marines when I was there, and I got to tell you, they had some pretty cool workarounds. Do you know what a Warlock system is?
No.
Okay, so this is kind of like the ultimate cell phone jammer. You turn it on, and only things that are programmed with the right frequency can operate. Everything else shuts down.
So that's a more aggressive version of the frequency hop that you had with the Singars?
No, this kills all frequencies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you try to operate a cell phone, you try to operate anything that broadcasts, it just dies within the radius of this operational radius of this piece of equipment, right? So back when we were there, the Marines were having some problems with their vehicle. My wife was working with this one crew where they took theirs and they mounted it on a donkey.
Ooh.
And when they went out on foot patrols, they would mount their basically signal killer on the donkey, and he would just carry it around. And he thought it was the greatest thing ever because while they were on patrol, he would just kick those little red kickballs we used to get in gym class
back when we were kids, dodgeball.
Yeah, the dodgeballs. They gave him one of those. He thought it was the greatest thing ever. And while they were on patrol, he would just be kicking it down the street with the Warlock on. So
I have to ask, if they had the tactical donkeys, what is the military designator for a donkey? Is it like an M13 Jackass, or what's it?
Right. An Ass 99. I don't know. I got nothing. So going back on point, we have, and I'm gonna sub out one dude. So we got Stuntman coming in and saying hi. How are you?
Oh, look at that!
What's up, y'all?
Right, a beautiful human being.
Look at that. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Are you gonna do your Matt imitation?
My Matt imitation? My.
Oh, please don't.
This is why we can't have nice things.
What up, sexy face?
All right, so getting back to the topic at hand, we got a comment from the chat. Sean Veronica Noble saying tech always fails. We had one in Yushafkil in Afghanistan. They had it on a control console to fire from the inside. The thing was a beast. He's probably talking about the ASV or a Vulcan.
The
cannon.
Warlock.
Oh, the Warlock? No, the Warlock's
Probably
not a beast. Warlock's not a beast. It's just a box that kills signals. That's not fun. You know.
So what are you talking about?
We're talking about military gear.
Nice.
But back to Gods and Legionnaires. So Ronan's saying that he might be talking about the RWS or the Crows system, which is they give you a no lie. They give you a Xbox controller hooked into a computer and a screen, and that's how you use the gun on top of the vehicle. Matt knows what I'm talking about.
That's badass.
Yeah. I sure do.
If I remember correctly, the Strikers, when I was getting out, they had almost like a joystick instead of even older school than the Xbox controller.
Yeah. No, nowadays they have like a straight up Xbox controller.
You're talking about the augmented reality one that you can see through tanks?
No. This is just like it's a little screen they mount to the back of the. You know how you got like minivans and like parents will mount little screens on the back of their seats, keep the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Crow system isn't as advanced as a VR rig that some of these droid tanks are coming out with.
Earthquake.
Really?
Yeah, there was literally just a fucking earthquake.
Where are you? Are you in Cali or are you in Idaho?
Yeah, San Diego.
Oh, San Diego.
Holy shit.
Stay safe.
Yeah, I'm good. It was a little minor one.
It was. Rebuild.
Go.
That was just.
My son's like, oh, it's an earthquake. Oh!
That was just the Earth getting excited because we were talking about Gods and Legionnaires.
It's because that's on. That's why.
Right. So has anybody read The 100 yet? The third book in the trilogy, Savage Wars.
I have not, but
sure
you can go ahead.
No. We'll wait till that gets a little more gets more legs, and then we can talk about it then. Please, like we were saying earlier, make sure when you guys read these things that you're going out and leaving reviews. Honest reviews. Nobody wants you to go and make it's the greatest book ever because it's the greatest book ever. Nobody needs that. It doesn't help anybody. But if you got 5 minutes to spare, tag it with the appropriate amount of stars, give it your honest review, and that way it helps people find it, helps people find Galaxy's Edge, and the more people that find Galaxy's Edge, the more people we're going to get buying into this property, which will allow the authors to make more books. So
it's more than that, though. It's also if you see other people's reviews that you agree with, upvoting those, because that's part of the algorithms with Audible and Amazon.
Gotcha. So that being said, JR, I seem to be getting a lot of questions about reservists too. Can you give us some news?
So I have that you have read the almost 25,000 word novella that covers some of the characters coming in. and then I am 10,000 words into Reservist 2. So I had to take a pause to deal with some family illnesses and whatnot, but I'm back at it. And I've had lots of help from the Discord server, the wikis and lore, when I've been doing my research on Empress Pantha. So that's been extremely helpful.
Is she an Empress now?
She will be. If
She
they know
is
what's
the
good
maid.
for them. If they know what's good for them, and I know they're listening.
Or at least they will be. Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to Reservist 2 because Reservist 1, even though I was like, damn, he's more of an asshole because I mean, you put those guys through a meat grinder. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Reservist 2 because I want to see what happens to Fetch after he's had some time to get soft. But
or did he?
Or did he? But speaking of that little novella that you wrote, tonight we're talking about the Galaxy's Edge Marines.
Woo.
So, Hull Busters.
Hoorah, Jarhead.
I don't know if they all have. Can you have a country accent in space?
Corporal Townsend in my story does.
There were space Britishes in Star Wars.
There is space British in Star Wars. Yeah.
If there's not a space Texas, I'll be sad.
Oh my
I would go
god!
more for Arkansas, but I mean, you know, a redneck's a redneck, right?
No one wants Arkansas anymore.
So
we need an Avery Johnson Marine. That's what we need.
Yeah, there you go.
We do.
Avery Johnson Marine.
What did you guys? When did you guys first really take notice of? Because you really first see them in Kill Team. When did you take notice of the Marines for the first time in Galaxy's Edge?
It's got to be Kill Team when they were training.
Yeah.
For that,
that's when
for the operation. And then when he started describing, when Jason and Nick started describing them for their trip over, that was something else. I wanted more from there on out.
Family man problems.
Whoops.
I bribed mine with Xbox. So
there you go. There you go. How about it, Ronan? What was your first encounter with the Republic Marines?
I think it was also Kill Team, but I think they really came into their own in the 100. If anyone hasn't read that yet, well, most people haven't.
Yeah, it was a nice addition to have them in there. Did you guys also read? Yes.
I was going to ask, aren't they also focused in the Forget Nothing story?
Yes.
With the Insiders?
Yep, that's Andine Broxton's book.
Yeah.
Where you get her like backstory and stuff like that. I think that Sergeant Major McRaven and Gunnery Sergeant O'Neill are tied for the two coolest crap-talking characters in the series, because those guys are just like absolutely tight. But yeah, somebody Rookie mentions in the chat that it was Order of the Centurion that really brought home.
It really did.
Yeah, for the Marines.
It really did.
Why don't you guys talk about that a little bit?
Well, I came up with the idea because I really love ODST, which Rookie is a fan of too, I believe.
Well, no, I think he's talking about
the initial book, Order of the Centurion.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
It was a really fantastic book.
He was the gunny sergeant, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I wanted more of him.
That was a crew of Recon Marines.
That would be their special forces, kind of, right? Because Recon is the special forces for modern, right?
Yep. Recon and MARSOC.
Yep.
So you got Recon, which is their job is like tactical scouts and critical intelligence for forward units, and then Marine Special Operations Command are the Raiders. Those guys are kind of like surgical strike and directed interdiction. So.
But I always wondered how they fell sucker to Berlin's like, oh, sure, come with me on this little joyride through the galaxy.
Right.
That part I never quite wrapped my head around.
Yeah, because if that was like a special forces unit, you'd have to opcon that Marine Corps crew to go with you. So you'd need all sorts of permission and stuff.
Unless base was that boring, and they're like, any excuse to get out of here.
Right. Right. And then later on in the series, we get the Special Operations, Special Orbital Aviation Regiment or Assault Regiment, the Sword Marines.
ODST type, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I like it. I like the idea.
Right. Did the scene where they actually show how you get the name Hullbusters?
Is that in the later books, or was that in the third book?
That was in. Oh God.
That was in the second book, or no.
No, that was in the third book. It was in
third book
when they're doing the training, right? Because I remember them talking about launching ships to another ship and going through them.
Technically, that would be the first book because they penetrated that ship at the very end of Legionnaire, didn't they? With the Marines, they grabbed Cags and those Marines, and they were like, "We're doing this. Go now."
Yeah. I mean, you read the book. I was just listening to the audibles.
That's when Badger just loses it because he's watching us chat. He's just like,
I'm like, I got
sorry everybody.
I got two 12-year-olds on the side of it. That's it. You guys are gone. I got two 12-year-olds on the side of the chat, and I keep seeing penetrated. Did you get penetrated? No, I wasn't penetrated. Penetrated. It's like, oh my God. You serious?
Private's gonna private, yo.
Yep. So, but yeah, I think
it Legionnaires?
No,
Yeah,
I think it's what do you call it? At the end of Galactic Outlaws.
Okay, I thought it was Kill Team where we first. Okay.
Well, Kill Team is the first time you really see them, and they do that boarding action with the Legionnaires. But
that's the one I finished. I just finished the Kill Team then.
Yeah, they sneak on the ship.
Yeah,
right.
But later on in the series, they actually do a boarding action where they punch through the hull of another ship.
So the one I remember reading was when they were taking on the donkeys, the donks.
Yep.
The
ponies. The ponies. we gotta think back to was it Knight's Tale? Come on, ponies.
Yes.
Great movie.
But yeah, so I mean, their main method of getting in and destroying a ship just through boarding action, the way they do it, punching through the hull, that was pretty cool. And if you've read The 100, they show pretty much the first time that the Marines get to do that in the Republic, and it's, are you serious? You guys
stop reading the chat. That's on you.
So am I the only?
Yeah, you got to click the chat. It's a party in a box. Yeah, but in the 100, you really get the first time that they get to do that, and the reaction of most of the Marines. Do you guys know who the Gurkha are? Have you ever heard of them?
Oh, yes, I do, 100%.
BV of Arson writes a lot about them in Swarm.
Have you ever heard about what had happened in World War II when they were going to take some of them and introduce them to a parachute regiment?
I have.
So they brought a whole bunch of them together and said, listen, we have a way to attack the enemy that they'll never expect. We're going to get in planes and jump out at them and then hit the ground and continue to fight. So there was a lot of talk back and forth, and finally one of the I believe it was one of the regimental commanders or regimental lieutenants or executive officer, somebody came forward and actually said, sir, we've read about this. Do we get parachutes? And they said, of course you get parachutes. And he goes, oh, okay, because like only half of us was in if we weren't, but if we get them, we're all good. And that's pretty much how the Marines played it in the 100, which I thought was really neat. Made me think of the Gurkha regiments right away.
So I haven't read the 100 yet, but do they address what happens if the targeting system is off? Because they basically are lone bullets flying into oblivion.
Yes.
Space, if they miss, They're just gone.
They address this, and a lot of the Marines have a perspective on it, and it's pretty Marine-ish. So
that's the other thing they don't address with like railguns and stuff either. It's like if you miss, those bullets are still going somewhere, and you never hear someone like randomly just gets exploded by shots from a battle systems over. Or
Sir
whatever.
Isaac Newton is the deadliest son of a bitch in space.
Right. Wait! Wasn't that a Mass Effect quote as well?
Yeah, Mass Effect 2.
Yeah. Oh, I fucking love that, man. It was so fantastic because you hop off your ship and he's sitting there. It's like, if you release this railgun shot, it is going until it hits something. So you make damn sure you are hitting what you aim at.
Damn straight. And just for anybody who's not familiar with a magnetically launched and accelerated round from that draws its power from a nuclear reactor on most battleships. The current technology that we have right now with railgun technology will launch a shell at 5 kilometers per second.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's beautiful, hey? I love when big things go boom.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I bet you do.
Chipper Rattle is saying from the chat, Order of the Centurion has the best portrayal of Marines.
Speaking of Marines, Huntbuster and everything like that too. Oh, sorry, Jay, what were you saying?
I said I want Gunny's story. Like we want more. Him and Sergeant Major Rick Raven.
Oh, imagine them drinking together.
Oh, that they should like team up. That should be awesome. Like a joint operation of some sort.
Go ahead, Matt.
It's been a while since I've read the main series again. I could have completely missed it. I could just be a typical Australian with no brain. Combat controllers. We don't ever see them, do we? Do we?
No, we don't.
I really would like to see combat controllers because
are the ones in Australia the same as we have them in the United States?
Yes, 100%. They're from Fort Squadron, and they do some pretty hardcore shit. They're awesome blokes too.
So in the when I was with the 82nd for a little bit, they got this thing where they give you jump pay, so basically hazardous duty pay when you're jumping out of airplanes. So if you miss like a few jumps because you're either being deployed or what have you, back in the day they used to take that pay back away from you. So which soldiers never like to give up money. So every once in a while we would try to get on a jump with anybody we could, and one time we got a leg up with the combat controllers, and so we get there, and they were super professional. They're like, guys, we're just gonna, this is pretty much, we're gonna be going into training iteration. You guys are gonna jump just to recertify and blah blah blah. But here we have special equipment for any Army personnel jumping with us. You have to wear it for safety purposes. We're like, oh yeah, that's cool. So they come out with mop heads, and they tape them to our helmets, so we look like these really stupid green Rastafarians. And we're like, the hell is this? And he goes, oh, that way you're easier to identify, right? So of course one of the combat controllers films us on the way out, and you look like, you remember those like pencils with the little trolls with the funny hair, you go like that, and the hair went everywhere. So they took like pictures of us doing like with this mop head flying all over the place and stuff like that, and it was just it was crazy. But those guys were really cool. For those who don't know what a combat controller is, you want to fill them in, Matt?
Yeah, so essentially, combat controllers, they're not forward observers in any sense. They are special operations attached men and I'm not sure there's any women in the role yet or not, but they go forward, they assess the LZ, weather patterns, the whole lot too. They essentially secure a landing site, but they are also special forces trained at the same time. So if they, essentially advanced recon would be the best way of putting them. They do para, they do jump. They're also trained with PJs, your para-rescue guys. So it's actually, being a combat controller requires a lot of brains. You can't just go in and go, me shoot bang. You need here in Australia, the way ours works is you've got to go through all the initial 3 week, after you get selected, the 3 week pre-fitness course and get done up. 12 months of commando training through Special Forces Center. 6 months of JTAC and LZ training, and then another year of advanced training on top of that, and then you're qualified. I know a couple of the blokes. They're awesome lads. Awesome lads. I'm so jealous. They got the best role ever.
Now, in the United States, our guys can also be tasked with establishing an airfield. Does the Australians do the same thing?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, but not like as much. Like they do a lot of training and stuff like that. They do it overseas or whatever, but you'll find that the majority of it is pretty much already done by our good friends over in the land of the freedoms and a few other places. So they still do it though. I don't have all the ins and outs of what they do, which is probably for the best. But no, if you go on YouTube and look up Force Squadron Combat Control, you'll see some videos that the official Air Force site has channels uploaded, and it's some cool shit.
Oh yeah,
it really is.
I'd like to see in some of the season 2, maybe like a Legion combined arms group, where you have a legion of or a squad of Dark Ops Legions supported by a combat controller. Maybe a forward observer, like really mix it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that would be pretty neat.
I want more Featherhead trash, please.
More pilots.
Yeah,
right on.
And I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Black Fleet, but I mean, at least they had the flying down in that section. So there's that.
Right on.
Wait, we're talking Black Fleet.
What? Fleet. What he said was Black Fleet.
Oh, now they're awake.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Empress Vampa. Yep.
Absolutely. This is the way, Walt.
This is the way. Ronan, you were talking in the chat about Dark Operator. You want to chime in on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, you guys mentioned it earlier, but the Special Orbital Assault Regiment. Those guys get featured in Dark Operator, and they pull in. The Dark Ops team pulls in a SOAR team to help with their stuff.
Right on. Yeah, it's Dark Operator is a pretty neat book. From what I understand, the second one is being edited right now. So, and if you
more books,
they're coming. If you are an insider, the original Dark Operator, which is the story of the first attempts at solo advisory capacity of a Dark Ops Leej, he goes in and advises on a foreign military. So the Galaxy's Edge insiders have already gotten that, and a good chunk have read it and reviewed it, and now it went to edit, and we should be seeing that soon. I hope that'd be dope.
I mean, I just saw it. Sphinx threaten Nick Cole with a good time.
I will do it too. I will do it.
JR knows about Chuck Tingle as well. He's been doing research on Chuck Tingle and his book sales, right, JR?
All I said is I have a program that can track book sales. It's called KDP Rocket, and I looked it up for you.
Right
I have not read the books. I have no desire to. I'll leave that for you and your shenanigans.
I have read one.
I don't want to know. All right. So that being said,
Blunt force segue.
Yep, blunt force segue. What did you guys think about the weapons and armor that they use versus the stuff in the Legion?
It sucked.
Actually, honestly, that's probably a good way of putting it. A very blunt way, but a good way. Because let's face it, the Legion gets the best gear. Come on.
Yeah. Talk about the Marines, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they describe it in the book about how it's nothing compared to the Leech armor. It's like night and day.
When I read it, we'll use Order of the Centurion, the first one with Berlin and Washed in it, and I had this mental image of like Halo's Master Chief standing right next to like a Vietnam era vet with what they wore as far as the discrepancy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they used like the Colonial Marines as sort of from the Aliens franchise as sort of a best example you could come up with for sci-fi of what their Marines deal with kit-wise.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, honestly, when I was hearing them get all geared up in Order of Centurion, I was just like, that's That's a little light there, bud. But okay.
I imagined Starship Troopers style. Almost
Yeah.
like the movie.
Oh,
Like
the M1 Marito rifles, yeah.
Well, one of the guys was bare chested with just a flak jacket and tattoos. So I mean that's
I was
attractive, but
I was picturing a peace sign tattoo, like
Give
make
peace a
love,
chance.
not war. Yeah, give peace a chance.
Oh God,
It was
the
very
duality of
reminiscent
man,
of,
Major.
those people.
Yeah, those people. The duality of man. I appreciate that.
Right on. I think it was really tough to see or to work, especially when you're so like a Marine is, to have to work beside somebody who's got so much better gear than you. That's gotta suck nuts. But like you saw it in you saw it in the Guard, right?
Yeah, you were too. You know.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I mean.
Yep. You show up and
you had the 1864 infield when everyone else has the M4.
dude,
It's
I can
okay,
hear the spite. I can hear it.
Oh yeah.
You
It's
seem a little
like-
salty there, bud. Are you okay? You want to talk
I
about
went
it?
from active duty to the assigned training NCO and then deployed with them. So I'm like, this was a step backwards for all of my gear. What's happening here?
Yeah.
It must burn, mate, to know that us Air Force get better gear than you.
Well, it's not that it's better. It's just it never has to be used. So it just looks.
Yeah, it's just like the U.S. Air Force.
Hope.
Right on. Right on. We had a combat camera with us who was a Marine, and he used to swear like all the time because he would crawl into the Humvee and a lot of his gear would get caught, especially because he was rocking an M16A4. So basically, long-barreled M16 with Picatinny rails.
I carried the A3, I think.
Yeah.
Or A2.
And
We
it
had
was
a Picatinny.
so he was every time he went to crawl into it, he's like, oh, these guys get M4s. They just put it in their pocket and get in the damn truck, and So yeah, that was cool. What do you guys think of how they portray the different branches of Marines in the books? Because you got the SOAR guys who are like the hull busters, and then in like Order of the Centurion, you have the Recon Marines. Then you got the shipboard security style Marines. What do you guys think of some of the differences they did to kind of flavor in different like parts of the Corps?
I think that in the audibles, Jason Onspach, right? He's the voice.
No. The audible.
No.
That's
RC Bray.
RC Bray.
RC. His
RC Cola.
His vocal range is what helps me distinguish everything. So I think that he does a really good job in adding that character to each individual person, and not just for each individual character, but for each individual like rate MOS of whatever job that each character is in line with. Because you got the nether op guys, they have this attitude, and then you got the regular Leej and they have that attitude, and then you have the main characters and they have that attitude. But the Marines, and then you got your pilots and your COs and your fleet guys, they all have that, and it's pretty good, pretty authentic. It's what you would hear in the bridge on a ship, and on a CIC. And I liked how in the last book I was listening to, they call one of the officers the CIC, so that made me giggle a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's where I work. That's the name of the officer, so I guess it makes sense.
Right on. What are you doing now?
Oh, I thought you were laughing about that.
No. Just a quick correction. Order of the Centurion, the very first one that was written by Jason and Nick, that was narrated by Mark Boyette.
I like him. He's he's up there with me for narrators.
Right on. But yeah, it's pretty neat, especially if any of you guys have read. Oh God, Madame Guillotine. So Madame Guillotine, they have a certain section of Marine in there that is just cool as hell.
And Reaper.
Yeah, the Reaper.
That was actually really cool.
Yeah, the Archangel Corps. And I thought it was really neat to have kind of that play on how the Marines just really take a lot of pride in the way they shoot. and have that as a like a special unit that is tasked out to guys like the Legionnaires. So yeah, I thought that was pretty dope.
Like Marine Recon that get attached to SEALs.
Yeah, you know that how you get EOD that is basically basically hoard out to everybody.
Working dogs attached to like say Delta or something.
Oh yeah. We had a SEAL detachment that was next to us in Ramadi, and they had a couple of dogs assigned to them. That was always fun, trying to sneak by their just that where they were staying, so that dog didn't try and bark your head off. But yeah, it's really neat to see how like other units can get operationally controlled and shifted over to a different command of a different branch. In the case of a need, especially with like guys like combat controllers, right?
Yeah. Look, most of the time, like when our CCTs operate, they're usually attached to say 2 Commando or SASR, or depending on what's going on. Maybe even sometimes actual like our regs, our infantry. Yeah, but even them too, like because you've got your foreign body, but then you got this Air Force bloke attached to them, and then you could have naval EOD attached as well, doing stuff. It's incredible. Like the general consensus of people who don't have an idea about the military think Army is just Army. That's it. They don't understand that there's cogs that make shit work, and we are all the cogs. Even
like when I had to go work with the Army in Iraq, and I'm a Navy guy, and I never thought I was going to see the dirt.
We messed with the sailors that were assigned to us so hard. Like every 5 minutes, like, you see any oceans around here?
We mess with you right back, sleepy eyes, sleepy head.
All I know is the sailors that we worked with when we were over were fantastic because we had the Seabees, and those guys were as crazy as the day is long. I mean, some of the stuff that they had to pull off in order to build some of the stuff that they did, it was just like, dude, you guys are like Inspector Gadget on steroids. That's badass.
I had the privilege of working with them too.
Yeah, where were you when you did that?
So when I got back from Iraq, I didn't have to go on deployment with the ship, and they put me with CBMU 303 here in San Diego, and I was with them for about 8 months. I got to actually build a truck hangar from nothing to hangar. So from asphalt, tearing it out, leveling, concrete, rebar, steel beams, insulation, bolts, vertical shit, fucked up my back, more shit, built the fucking thing, and you look, and I sometimes I drive back there, I'm like, I built that shit. It's never going down.
That's tight.
Stop that 5 seconds ago. Yeah, that was me.
And that's why CBs are cocky, because they can point and say, "Can you point at what you built, motherfucker?"
and some of the stuff that they come up with, they had to change. We laid down a generator for this camp that we were building up. We were trying to strengthen the position, and they brought in a generator. Well, one of the oil filters on the generator was faulty or something like that, or at least it looked like an oil filter. I'm not a mechanic, and he's trying to rip this thing off. He just couldn't do it, and he turns around and he's looking around at all of us, and we're in the camp, so we didn't have any armor on, and we were just in the t-shirts. He looks over and he goes, "Come here, handsome." I thought he was going to slap me right in the junk, right? And instead, the belt that I wear is it used to be a parachute backstrap, right? So he rips that off, threads it around this thing, gets the kind of tension because of the way that the buckle is, it retains the tension, and he just yanks on it and falls, and the thing unscrews. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Hands me back my belt. He goes, "Hope that didn't have any sentimental attachment there, slick." I was like, holy.
He knew what he needed, and you had what he needed.
Oh yeah, and he took it from me like I wanted it so bad. But
when I liberated it, I waited for them not to be looking.
What's that?
When we liberated equipment, we at least were polite enough to do it when their back was turned.
No, he was straight up like right in my grill.
I've seen those movies; they're really good.
Yeah. I just wish he would have followed that, safe sex COVID-19 poster that's floating around right now.
Reverse cowgirled your ass.
So you guys heard the fat local
Yes.
stories. I've just got the Pogue office bitch stories too, like the legendary one who Command thought it was a great idea to have us do a big 50 or 70 page survey in civvies, mind you. So civvies was fine. The problem with that is when people rocked up late and didn't want to do it, they couldn't identify who was who. So one dude, he took inspiration from this old ad on TV. Literally just sat there, didn't do it. 5 minutes, walked straight up to the big pile on the desk. They saw he hadn't done it, and he just looks at them and goes, "Excuse me, do you have any idea who I am?" They've gone, "No." He puts it in the pile, shuffles the pile, and he goes, "I'm done." Walks out. Yeah, legendary, absolutely legendary. I'm like,
That's
holy
fantastic.
fuck. I'm sitting there going,
Classic.
promote above peers.
But, well, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to start rounding things out. Just a quick reminder, if you've been able to check out either Savage Wars or Savage Wars Part 2, Gods and Legionnaires, either on audio or Digibook, please be kind. And as JR says in his podcast, go ahead, JR, say it.
Please
Be kind to rewind.
Speak your mind on the
Please.
reviewing platforms.
Yep. Be kind. Throw an honest review up there. Let's get these books in front of some eyes so that they get some traction and we can get more books. We got a little hint that JR is doing Reservist 2. Now, what about that novella? Are we going to see that soon?
Please.
I talked to you, Jason. It's going to be edited together with our Reservist 2. What he's going to do with it, he hasn't told me. He said it was the perfect length if Audible was interested in one of the exclusives, but I honestly don't know. I needed to get it out of my head.
Now, if we can get an actual Marine to narrate it, that'd be cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think they want to go
You
with
gotta learn how to
Christian
read first.
Brummel again. Well, if I write it again in Crown, they might get it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Draw pictures.
Yep. He draws like 4 hieroglyphics, and the guy just narrates the whole book from the hieroglyphics.
Stick figure smashing something.
Oh my god. Yeah, they'll know. Hullbusters, crayons, they got it. Boys, any parting thoughts before we call it a podcast?
Just leave reviews and upvote the ones you like, so that way Audible and Amazon know good stuff.
I do have a parting thought, actually. Sorry.
What is it?
Keep going.
Hit it.
I was just.
It's actually unrelated. Why is it as I'm the only Australian in here and I have better internet than every one of you?
You have better
Because
what?
America's failing.
It's usually we're upside down. Our internet is on a string on tin cans, and somehow I'm less laggier than everybody here.
I don't know.
got more
Think about it.
frames.
Think about it. You're
Because
upside
everybody's
down.
on the internet right now.
If ours is
Well-
bad and you're upside down, that means yours is good. Thinking with fucking
Yeah,
blocks,
all
bro.
Yeah, all of our internet is falling down to you guys right now. So
Yeah,
you're
our
okay.
internet's that good, bruh.
And last time I checked, the kangaroos that occupy most of your little tiny island don't use the internet.
Ooh.
Yeah,
What about
they
the emus? I heard the emus, are a force to be
fought
whacked.
them in they fought them in a war and it's over. They destroyed them.
Who's to win?
All right, Swordfish, take us out.
All right. Yeah, if I gotta take us out, I gotta take us out on a good note and a bad note. So, I am excited to continue on with the Audible stuff. I'm really excited to see the Forget Nothing drop. I think that's gonna be mid-April, right?
Yeah, they were talking about April.
Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna catch up on that stuff.
It is so good. It is really, really good.
Yeah, like I said, I can't wait for that one. I know that we're going to be skipping next week because that's our break week, but I figure I might as well probably let people know. Given the current situation, I'm probably going to say we're going to have to postpone that meetup for a year. And I think that's the best case because a lot of people are going to be financially impacted by this, and I'd rather we have a good meetup, or a good first meetup. So, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's how it gotta be.
Right on.
It's for the best.
And I'd like to take a minute to thank everybody on the panel who came out, including Uplifted Bubba, Rookie, and Ronin, who were in the green room. I think they were like having a food fight or something back there. But
Sure.
just
call it
wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming out and sharing your love for the Galaxy's Edge. And with that,